Hello, everybody. We are here for a Tuesday Talks today. Now, Tuesday Talk is all about getting to know an individual and finding out what makes them tick, what do they care about, how their career reflects that, and what motivates them to keep going. Now, today we have an amazing business strategist, Renee La Tour. Now, Renee is a business strategist behind the ticket to freedom brand that helps six-figure coaches remove themselves from the day-to-day of their business by delegating. Don't we all want to do that, even though if we're not six figures? I'm sure we'll find out how we can do this. Now, she's a full-time traveler, would love to be at that as well, and a part-time entrepreneur. Wow. Now, she's also coined the term fancy nomad to describe her unique lifestyle. Renee believes that everyone can have their own freedom right now instead of waiting for someday. So let's get Renee on here and get to hear her story and get all these points as well. I see you there, Renee. Let me just invite you up. Hello, Renee. How are you doing?
Hello, I am amazing. How are you?
I am amazing as well. Thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us for Tuesday Talks.
Absolutely. I just love how you say Tuesday Talks with your accent. I love it. Tuesday
No, it's fine.
Talks.
Wow, that's the first no one said that yet, but thank you very much.
Yeah, it just rolls off. I love it. I'm like going through your videos and I'm like just watching the intro. Tuesday Talks, Tuesday Talks. I love it.
Well, thank you very much. That's the first as well. I think I'm gonna cut this clip now forever and repeat it.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
thank you. Well, I've done a short introduction for you already, but then true to the talk styles, we're gonna now obviously throw the mic at you and give you the mic to let us know who you are, what you do, and the biggest question that everybody asks on Tuesday Talks is, why do you do it, Renee?
Right. I love it. And I want to get more to the meat of the why because who I am is a loaded question, right? Like, who am I? Like, that's the question we're all trying to really figure out. And it's loaded. So I hate to box myself into my occupation or my gender or what country I'm from because we all know that's really not who you are. You know, it's identities, it's roles that you're in this point in time. So without being too esoteric, I will say that I am a business strategist. I'm a consultant. I love helping solopreneurs and coaches free themselves from their business because most people, if not every single person who started their own business, they did it for freedom. And I don't care if it was financial freedom, location freedom, time freedom. They wanted that sense of on my own terms, on my own time, with who the heck I want to. And along the way, they kind of lost that and they created a business that is running them instead of them running their business. And so what I do is I step in and I help them remove themselves from as much as they possibly can so that they can get that freedom back. Because if you really want to build a business beyond 100K, or, you know, beyond six figures or seven figures, whatever that magical number is for you. And that's why I hate throwing around numbers to begin with, because it's like, doesn't really matter. It's all relative to you, your lifestyle, your business. I'm more interested in talking about profits myself. But the point of the matter is that at a certain point you get to in your business, you've either capped out on profits or you've maxed out on time. And I step in as a co-pilot to help that solopreneur remove themselves so that they aren't being run by their business and they can do other things that they enjoy, like spend time with their family and go travel and run their business from anywhere. And I became really passionate about it because travel has given me so much freedom. Business has given me so much freedom. Financially, being able to feel like I have everything that I need, it's huge. It's life-changing. So I love to be able to support other solopreneurs in that way. And I don't even think I've gotten into the why behind it. Do you want me to start digging that one up?
Well, I was about to say that that's like an amazing journey on itself already that you've shared here, you know. But yeah, it would be great to know, but why are you doing this? Before you start there, just pause for a minute because I think my phone's doing something weird here. Just give me a second. Now, yeah. So coming back to your why, then yes, if you do share in terms of what got you to do this and help others to have that, exactly like everybody start their business with. For me, it's more of a time freedom, so I can do whatever I want whenever I want. Uh, but yeah, a lot of people, as you mentioned, they leave 9 to 5 to work 9 to 24 hours, right?
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
And yeah. And it's normal and it's totally expected when you first start out. Absolutely. But
okay,
you,
so
yeah, but
take
you
us
do.
through your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, you get to a point where it's like, okay, now things need to shift a little bit. So I'll share a little bit about how I got here and why I'm so passionate about this particular topic is because it's the journey that I've experienced. And when I quit my 9 to 5, I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. I just started throwing things against the wall and kind of figuring out what stuck. And so I ended up partnering up with my partner, partnered up with my life partner is my business partner and everything else. And so I ended up getting into financial services. And we have a brokerage that is based in the US. When I first started in the entrepreneurial space, I didn't start with operations. I started in sales because I needed to make
Mm.
money. So I just started smiling and dialing, picking up the phone, making phone calls, going to trade shows, meeting people in person, trying to build partnerships so that I could make some money. So once I did, I was hooked. And the financial services industry it's a sexy industry. We're selling money, one of the sexiest things to sell, and it's very lucrative. And I love the business model. It's amazing, and it's giving me the financial freedom that I wanted. It was about 6 months in that I realized on a trip to Europe, it actually took us taking the trip to Europe to realize that we could run the business from anywhere. Up until that point, our plans were having a brick and mortar, building out a sales team, having an office, like all of that.
Mm.
And so once we realized we could run the business from anywhere, I became obsessed with optimizing. I became obsessed with creating a business that was freedom first and remote and location dependent and very lean. Originally, the intention was we're going to build this thing to having 50 employees, 100 employees. It's going to be like this big behemoth of a legacy business. But then reality sunk into what do I really want? And me and my partner both, running the business together. What do we want? And for me, it was like, oh, I want a lean team. I want as little, as small of team as possible to run this business. I want to be able to run it from any time zone. I want to be able to be hands off. And it took years to get there. So it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of time and energy and
Mm.
money and the right way to hire people and who do I need to hire, all of the things. So for me, throughout that journey, I've realized and meeting other people and them asking me, well, how do you travel the world while this business is located in the States and it's essentially running by itself? And I'll be clear, it's not
Mm.
completely hands off, right? It's like a few hours per week that I spend on that business. But going from working 40 hours to 2 hours, that's huge. And that difference, that gap is really where I'm very interested, and being able to bridge that gap and get someone where they are hands off in their business. And what people have been asking me, like, how do you have this business that runs, seamlessly without you? And realizing that other solopreneurs, maybe they didn't already have that intention to remove themselves
Mm.
from their business, or they're not seeing their business as an asset. And so it's a lot of education to think about, okay, where do you see yourself long term? Because right now you're very much in your business, which is okay. But when you get to scaling, 6, 7 figures, you need to be thinking about the top of mind needs to be removing yourself. And you can do that on the early stages too. It's not something that you have to wait to start thinking about. You can start thinking about that from day one.
Wow, and it sounds like you've built an A team there, right? So there's an A team who's running stuff for you there. Obviously, whilst you're traveling, spending that few hours connecting. I know a bit of delegating and things like that. So, and I love that journey in terms of when you found out coming to Europe, like, hey, hang on a minute, the business still can run. So was that like taking a vacation? You were still working during the vacation, and then you were like, we can take as many vacations as we want and continue working. We don't have to book the 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there.
Right, exactly. And it's so funny, like I didn't think about that. And this was 2017. And I didn't think about that. Like, oh yeah, we're just running our business from our laptops. And I was doing a lot of trade shows, a lot of in-person meetings as well. So I think that was part of it. And then thinking, 6 months in, oh, we actually don't need to be as hands-on as we thought we needed to be. And can we spend, the next however long it takes to be as hands-off as possible? And how I approached it and how I like to approach it when I work with others is elimination first. I know you've heard of eliminate, automate, delegate. We've all heard of
Hmm.
it. We've all
Yeah.
read the 4-Hour Work Week. We all know these things. But putting them into practice is what's key. It's like, it's one thing to know something, it's another thing to actually do it, right? And
Hmm.
so I really like to spend time on evaluating what actually needs to be done, what's essential in your business, and start thinking about how you want your business to fit into your life and not the other way around. Because so many of us, we're doing these amazing things. Like we're really wanting to make an impact on people's lives. And I'm obviously very business oriented, but I love working with people in the space of, healing and coaching and, things like of that nature too. And even a lot of my work has to do with a lot of coaching because people need to make that transition. And to do that, it's a shedding process. There's a lot
Hmm.
of old behaviors and old stories that you're hanging on to that you have to let go of. So it's a lot of coaching involved as well.
I love that. And what came to my mind was a question. I think you partly touched on it already as well. So, like, who are your, when people talk about ideal clients, so I'm thinking, obviously, because you mentioned the finance sector, but anybody can be your client as long as they're an entrepreneur or have a small business, I take it, right?
Yeah, like a solopreneur, obviously based online or wanting to be online. So they don't necessarily, they could again be in the shoes I was in, going to trade shows, doing a lot of in-person things, and then at a certain point figuring out, okay, what does that look like? Does that mean someone else is doing the in-person events? Does that look like you don't need to do the in-person events anymore? Like certain things like that. Just figuring out how we could realign the business. So it's not necessarily a particular industry. It's more about the solopreneur. It's more about going from a team of one to a lean team and being able to leverage the power of, automation and the power of other people and other people being able to do things better than you, to step
Mm.
in and take over parts of your business or as many roles as possible.
That's brilliant. So take us through, like um, your that you're saying that everybody can have their freedom right now instead of someday.
Yeah.
So what does that essentially mean for somebody who's listening to us now?
Yeah, and I want to kind of get more big picture because I do obviously love talking about operations and systems and hiring. That's really, my bread and butter. But if you kind of zoom out a bit and you think about freedom, again talking about all the different freedoms and what that means to you, it comes down to deciding, like making the decision of what you want, like sitting back and deciding, what do I really want? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my life to feel like? And you don't have to have all the answers. It's like, so you want to kind of have that vision, but you don't want to have tunnel vision. You want to be open enough, to let the universe come in and show you things that you might not even have imagined, right? I love to tell people that, I travel full time. I live a digital nomad lifestyle and I didn't plan on it. I didn't
That's
think
gonna
I had,
that,
go
that's gonna
ahead.
trigger a lot of perfectionists out there, though.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the funny thing too, because I love to plan and often feeling like I need a super solid, stakes in the ground plan has kept
Mm.
me from taking action. Like I am a recovering I am a recovering perfectionist. I'm like recovering kind of loosely. I am, and I struggle with that too. So I get it, like wanting to have, okay, let me just solidify everything, know where I'm going, know what step is in front of the next, but that's just not how it works, right? So it's important to kind of be a little bit flowy while you're also being structured. And I know that's kind of, it's a lot and we can unpack it, but it does take both the yin and the yang, or the masculine and the feminine, or however you want to put that. You want to make sure that you're being really clear with yourself. And even, again, we can get into visualization. I think it's powerful visualizing that every single day so that your mind can start solving those problems, right? Without you having to think about it subconsciously. But that's also coupled with being open and just allowing and saying, oh, I've never even thought of that, and being able to think outside the box, because your box of thinking has been set by your previous experiences, right?
Definitely.
Right? And then so to think outside of that box, you have to always have the openness and the curiosity and sit in the seat of the learner and always be learning and growing and say, oh, that's interesting perspective. Let me kind of explore that a little bit and be able to do little experiments and get your hands dirty. And I don't care, if we're just talking a business, I don't care how much money you're making. If you're not willing to get your hands dirty, you are going to plateau, whatever that means like for you. Same thing with everything else in life. If we're thinking physical fitness, you see it all the time. Bodybuilders, whatever, they're going to get to a point where that's it. They can't build any more muscle. They have to think about doing something different. Or people get to a point where they lose 20 pounds and they plateau, right? You better switch it up. You better look at intermittent fasting. You better look at, a different whatever, because you're going to continuously adapt and get to that plateau. So thinking outside of that box is so important.
I love that. I love that. And what I was hearing as well in there was it's all about sustaining it as well, right? So once you've built yourself where you are, and then you need to also think of how it can run itself and sustain itself. Automation is also a key in there, and a part of everything else that you're going to create with that lean team, which is going to support you. I know solopreneurs, 90% of the time, well, 99% of the time, they wear all the hats, and then they continue wearing all the hats because they think, okay, my business, this is my business, and I am the business, and therefore I need to not take all the responsibilities. Well, you can find somebody else on other mundane tasks that can be taken over from you, and that's what I was hearing there as well. And I know you're obviously, since you've created this, optimized your business, and you've been traveling, everything, is there a certain routine that you have kept with you from beginning, or you've created a new routine? I mean, some people like to call it ritual or a 5 a.m. club. Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, and I love experimenting with this because I'm a sole believer, as we're talking about having both, the flow, which we all want as entrepreneurs. We want that flow. That's why we're like, don't tell me when, who, where. I want to decide. So we think we can just like wake up whatever time and do whatever we want, and all these things. But also having that structure is so important. So I've loved experimenting over the last couple of years of waking up without an alarm clock, waking up with an alarm clock, getting my body used to certain sleep cycles, especially with time zone differences, and doing all of that fun stuff. So it does change a little bit depending on what I'm experimenting with and what I need. So there have been moments of my life, many moments, where I'm having what I like to call a valley of, maybe I would call it like temporary depression or whatever, or negative thoughts, or all of the gunk that comes up. So for me, I know I go in my toolbox of all of my rituals, routines, things that I've used and experimented with, and I'll pull out morning pages. Like, I just know morning pages is something that I can just grab my journal and just start writing, just let it out, just let all this gunk out and release it. Like first thing when I wake up. I know that if I'm feeling like low energy, I know that I can go on a walk, or I can go to the gym, or I can do things like, I know that if I'm feeling stress, I can go to breath work and use some
Mm-hmm.
breath work in that moment. So I've been more of like a, what do I need in this moment oriented, but I will say without question, having a morning routine of not going to work straight away has worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody. You know, there's other people, they go to work straight away and it works great. Awesome. Like
Mm.
it needs to work for you, right? For me, I know for sure, because time and time again, the moments that I just like wake up and grab my phone or wake up and grab my laptop, it doesn't go well. I have to set the stage for myself. I have to do something minimally. So I like to go about this in a way of setting a minimum standard. I don't go for the gusto. I don't say, I'm going to do, you know, an hour run and I'm going to go an hour at the gym and I'm going to do an hour meditation. Like, no. And then now my morning routine is like 4 hours long and I haven't gotten to, you know, anything that I wanted to accomplish. So no, I keep it like bare minimum. So it's like, hey, I just wake up, do 5 minute meditation. If I want to go longer, great. But
Mm.
my minimum is the 5 minutes. So for right now, what I'm doing is affirmations in the morning and affirmations in the evening, just 10 minutes of affirmations, 10 minutes in the evening. And then I go right to my gym workout. So I just arrived in Buenos Aires and the gym doesn't open until 7.
Okay.
So it kind of adjusted my routine, because when I was in Peru last week, I was able to go to the gym at 5. So I was waking up at 5, and before even having my coffee or anything, I would just do my affirmations and then go to the gym straight away. And then I was back to my apartment by like 6, ready to go, ready to take on the day, have my coffee, do my thing. And so, being here in Buenos Aires, I found an amazing gym, but it doesn't open until 7. So I wake up more leisurely. So I was waking up at 5 last month. This month, I'm waking up at 6. So I'm
Mm.
waking up at 6, doing my affirmations, doing a quick meditation. In the last couple of days, I've been doing breath work just because I've been feeling like extra anxiety that I want to flush out. So I
Mm.
go back to some box breathing, and just use that as a tool in my toolbox. And then go to my workout, right? So then now it's kind of like my schedule's a little adjusted, but it's required for this lifestyle. Like being okay with having, again, that flow and that flexibility
Mm.
is huge if you're going to be moving around every 2 to 3 months, if you're going to be switching time zones. If I was so rigid, like if I don't wake up at 5, if I don't go straight to the gym, I'm going to lose my, that's not going to be good, you know? It's not
Mm.
going to work.
And I love that, and thank you for sharing this as well in terms of, you know, like the flexibility to actually learn what works best for you, because a lot of us come across as, you know, we tend to then fixate on whatever we've seen is working for somebody else, and like, oh yeah, we need to do this, we need to join the 5 a.m. club, and then it's 5 a.m. wherever we are. Earlier when I messaged you that we are going to have this talk, and I was worried I didn't get that reply straight, because I did see you were in different place. I'm like, oh no, is the time zone changed? Is Renee aware of that? I don't know. So yeah, so I was like thinking that, and I can see obviously you're much more prepared and you're aware of the time zone and everything. But so this is again, well, just coming back to what you just shared there, is amazing tip for everybody to take away is to be flexible, try different things, experiment, and be flexible for with yourself as well. If now the gym is opening later, change it, right? And be kinder to yourself as well in that term. You don't have to be rigid to a routine or a ritual, whatever that is for you, to be fixed. And this is how we're going to do it. You can adjust it to see what works best, because you want to be at your optimum level, the ultimate and space that you can have, and that can only come by trying different things, right? I mean, I love cars, so I always go back to the cars. You never buy the first car as your first you know, amazing dream car. You always buy from a beginner's car. Let's say you've just passed your license and everything, you start with a car. By the time you go through a few cars, then you end up with a dream car, and you are best at driving that dream car as well, because you've experimented with so many cars before that. And then you appreciate the car that you have currently, or the one that you really wanted to have at the end. And that's what just reminded me when you just shared there. I wanted to ask also, so what does that journey looks like for someone who wanted to now connect with you and ask you to take them through one of your journeys of let's optimize this, or I want to be free now.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, It's simple. I really want to make everything simple for everybody. I go for simplicity. I go for essentialism. Let's just have a conversation. Let's, you can have a conversation with me in the DMs. You can have a conversation with me, on a call to talk it out and say, what do you really want? What do you want your business to look like? When I work with people, I ingrain myself. I embody their vision and their mission. I treat other people's businesses like my own. Like I don't play around when I say I'm co-piloting with you. I really want you to have that dream life. And I don't mess around. I really do believe in like you mentioned, if I say I'm going to show up to something, I'm going to show up. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like being a man or woman of your word is important to me. So it just looks as simple as having a conversation and seeing if it's a good fit.
Nice. Okay, so that's so it's individual based. It's not like one glove fits all. That you've got 10 steps that we're going to check out. I'm sure there's like a checklist that you obviously go through to see that you qualify, but you obviously individualize and fit with whatever their needs are, right?
Right. At this point in time, I'm doing one-on-one work. So I'm doing one-on-one services. So yeah, it's basically we're in it together for sure.
That's even better because then we know that our business is being looked after, or the lifestyle we are trying to create is being looked after, and you're co-piloting it. So definitely we're gonna have that success that we are looking after. So take us through. Obviously, we now know your morning routine, which you experimented with, and now it's kind of there for you as well, which is perfect gym, breath work, and meditation, journaling. Um, so is there something that you now do in the afternoons or before you wrap up your day as well? Is that something um, when you're throughout the day, how do you manage? I know you're obviously traveling a lot more, so it's more leisure time with work time. So how do you manage now that?
Right. And that's the thing too. The assumption is when you're a full-time traveler that you're just like leisure time all the time or more leisure, but it's actually not true. Like I have a normal life like anyone else here in Buenos Aires or anyone else back in the States or whatever. But like I'm so passionate about with the optimization, it's the same for me. Like I do practice what I preach. Like I don't want to be working, 12-hour days. So I practice having a keen awareness about where my time is being spent and where it's being wasted, and being able to step away, because anything that you feel is constrictive or resistant in any way, it's a sign to step away. Like if you feel overwhelmed, anxiousness, all of those icky feelings that come up, and it's very natural. Nothing wrong with you, nothing
Mm.
wrong with me, very natural. Step away. My favorite thing to do. Well, I have two favorites. I would say if I had to choose one, it would be walks. Just go on a walk. And
Oh, I
so
love that. Yes.
whenever I travel, I try to find somewhere that's walkable. It's one of my top requirements for finding like an Airbnb is, can I walk somewhere, anywhere? Even yesterday I was looking at Airbnbs and it was next to a cemetery, and I said out loud, I said, will they let me walk at the cemetery? Like I just need somewhere to walk. And then my second one would be a nap, like a power nap. So, just taking a break and chilling out is so powerful. And people think, you kind of have this like self-talk of like, well, I'm not doing enough, or like, I'm not making progress, but you are making progress. Having that space is going to give you so much clarity.
This is fantastic. I love this as well, what you just shared there. I love walking myself as well. So anywhere I'm at, maybe not looking for the spaces that I can walk, I'll just go for a walk anywhere, wherever I am. So if there is a venue or event that I'm heading to and I need to be in a hotel, I usually see if I can walk to it. So even if it's a 20-minute walk is okay for me. Although during the every day, I walk at least 5 miles, at least if I can. which takes me at least hour and a half to 2 hours max. And that's my day of walking. Then that's part of the exercise there as well. And the power naps. I there is definitely something about that, and quite a few people have mentioned that, and I can say as well, yes, naps definitely help. Obviously, you're timing yourself. Some people want to put alarm if your body doesn't wake you up. It gets getting used to it. Now my body's so used to it. If I just put my head down and I say, oh, I want to get up in 20 minutes, phone's on the side, my eyes do open up in 20 minutes, and I look at the time, it's
Yeah.
20 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's attuned to that now. And by that time you wake up, you are fresh, and you recharge. You can carry on what you were doing, or have a little walk where you are, and then come back and start what you were starting. So thank you for sharing that. That's definitely an amazing takeaway for everybody listening to us now. And so there's no, was there something to close your day with as well? Is it like how do you wind your day down? Is it green tea, sitting down, Netflix? Or
Yeah, green tea would get me amped up. So I have a few things, again, kind of going back to my toolbox and doing what I need. The affirmations is something that this is like my current challenge. So I love to do challenges. I love to say like, okay, in this 90-day block, this is the thing I'm going to do every single day to build out that habit. So, and this is something I encourage people, like if the whole 5 a.m. thing, if this is something you want to try and you're like, oh, well, someone else is doing 5 a.m., maybe that would work for me, or maybe meditation or breath work, whatever, give yourself 30 days minimum. Because the first, like, because what happens, as you know, people start a few days and then they fall off. And so it's really important to have the level of commitment to just experiment with something for like 30 days minimum. I like to go 90 days and see if it affected my life in a positive way, how I feel about it, and decide if I want to continue onward. So to bookend my evenings, I do like to do that right before bed, which has kind of become somewhat of an issue because I also like to sleep with my phone in another room.
oh,
And so if
wow.
I'm going to sleep with the affirmations, now my phone's in my room and I'm just like, oh, so the last month or so has been kind of difficult with that, because normally I don't even like to have my phone, in my room. So I put it on airplane mode. It's all like do not disturb, all of that, but I don't even like to have the device there. So that's the other thing too, that in a normal, sense, I'm trying to figure out, maybe someone watching this can give me a good idea of how I can go to sleep with the affirmations, but not have my phone in the same, my bedroom.
Maybe
Um,
buying some AirPods so that can do that distance, and the phone can be different. Yeah,
yeah,
distance.
yeah, that makes sense. I could use, yeah, duh, I could use my wireless. Thank you. Yeah. Um, so that is the one thing. And then one thing as far as, so just, full transparency. I know this doesn't resonate with most, but I don't watch much TV, and I haven't in years. Like I don't,
Wow.
I'm not a TV person. I didn't even have a TV in my house. So before I, started traveling. So now traveling, there's always a TV in the Airbnbs,
Mm,
right? So thankfully I've already worked that muscle of not really going to the TV, because to me, it's just like a big time suck. Um, if I do and I want to watch something at night, so if I've been doing this probably the last couple of months, like just, oh, I want to just kind of unwind and shut my brain down. So my go-to is Seinfeld. So and then the thing
okay.
with me is because as you know, with Netflix, you can watch like multiple episodes and it just plays them. So my thing is like only one episode of Seinfeld, just to kind of relax and release the day or whatever. So I have actually been going to that maybe a couple times a week in the last couple months, and it's been nice.
That's a good share there, and what I'm taking from there is the discipline to just watching that one episode. Right? No, okay, because obviously, yeah, the episodes usually end on a cliffhanger that pushes you to go to the next one, and so you're like, oh, let me just see the next. I want to see what's happened here, and having that discipline to just one, and then yeah, okay, that's it, I'm done. Switch it off, do whatever, or if it's time to bed, go bed, and that's the best, something every or most of us are are challenged with is the consistency and discipline. You know, we want to do all these things. We want to be in the 5 a.m. club. We want to obviously wind down with having a positive, productive day instead of just busy day. So busy day is a busy day, but was it productive and
Right.
good day? You can only find that out by the end of it by taking stock. That's how I say it. You know, sit down, see how your day was. You know, if you're a writer, love paper and pen, take that and write down stuff like, okay, what good things have happened to you? Because what tend to happen is when we sit down and we think about a day, we always pick up the negative stuff. Oh, that didn't
Mm.
work well. That didn't work well. I think I should have turned left instead of turning right, and then I would have got there on time. That's happened, but we need to also see where was that little pockets of good times that happened to you, little pockets of happiness that you had. Most of your day is made out of those little pockets, but what happens is because they're little pockets, we tend to ignore them. We hold on
Mm.
to the negative, and what I recommend everybody is, so yeah, have whatever the drink is, tea or water, whatever, put that down, have a pen and paper, or if you're like me, I like my phone, so I use the note on my phone, write on the notes, what was good things that have actually happened, or what have I achieved today, and getting my mind to think of those things. And when you think of that, or you're asking your mind to what was good today, or what happened at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m., whatever that time was for you that you want to do something, did I achieve that? If not, how can I now do it better? So you're asking your mind to actually do that, help you with the answers, rather than moan about the day, how it could have been better and I couldn't do it. And that it comes with discipline. And I love that you shared that. Obviously, you're winding down with the Seinfeld, watching just one episode is actually also clearing the mind, which a lot of people, you know, just think, oh, I don't need to watch TV at all because I'm going to get hooked. Well, it's not designed that way, but it's our habit and us not being disciplined with ourselves is the one getting hooked. It's not It's not the TV's fault. It's not Netflix's fault. They're just there, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
us who needs to do it.
Right. I love that you brought up gratitude and having a gratitude list at the end of the night. Absolutely. Especially if you felt like I was just busy all day and I didn't get anything done. Absolutely. Because we take those things for granted and we do not celebrate ourselves enough, me included. Like I am so guilty of this too. Like just feeling like, and even myself, it goes back to engineering your environment. Like I have a to-do list on my Trello board, and when I move my to-do list items, they go into a completed list and a little confetti goes off. And I set it up that way so that I can remind myself to celebrate, you know, I'm
Celebrate.
getting things done. I love that you brought that up. And I do want to say that it definitely depends on what you're watching on Netflix with the whole binging, because I swear, like, it's like Seinfeld's easy because the episodes don't really play into one another.
Mm,
But I cannot do the series. Like, there's a reason
mm.
why I don't watch TV is because my discipline, I can't rely on my discipline. Like I will sit there and I will have like toothpicks in my eyes, trying to hold my eyes open, watching the next episode. So I think it's important to like definitely know it's probably not your willpower and your discipline, but it is the type of show you're watching, right? And then also like I remember years ago watching Breaking Bad before
Oh,
bed. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing you could be doing before bed, right?
that was an addictive program anyway.
Oh my gosh. And before bed, I would just sit like till 3 a.m. and I had to go to work the next day. You know, this was like, I don't even know, way back in the day. But not a good idea. I can only imagine what was going on in my subconscious while I was sleeping.
Wow, and that's I love that you just expanded on that as well. And we will be wrapping this up shortly as well. And you know, I wanted to say thank you very much for sharing such an amazing journey here, and lots of golden nuggets for people to take away as well. And thank you everybody who have just joined or been listening to us since beginning on this Instagram live. If you just joined, I recommend rewinding this episode. It will be left on Insta Reels there. for you to watch. Before we wrap this up, I asked all the guests to do a wrap-up comment. What would you like to leave the viewers or listeners in the future who will be listening to this with as a wrap-up?
Yeah. Great. I would say I have to get it down to one. Let me say, if you're feeling like you've decided what you wanted, and when we talk so much today about freedom. So you've decided, this is my definition of freedom. This is what I want. Just take one small step. Just take one tiny small step, as small as you can make it today, that you can do for the next 30 days and the next 90 days, something small and sustainable that you can do. It will get you there. Because we really do underestimate the power of really tiny micro habits. So I just want to encourage you, if you have that in your mind, you're like, yes, I decided, just do one small thing. There's nothing stopping you from doing that one tiny thing.
I love this. I love this, and this is something I've been talking about recently with a few people in my circle as well, and it's great that you've touched upon it as well. So thank you very much, Renee, for sharing such an amazing journey and a lovely close-up comment there as well. I wanted to say thank you very much to everybody who's been watching us live or now listening to this as a podcast, but later on as well. If this episode has created a spark in you, I recommend and suggest as well that we share this spark with whomever has just come to your mind or you think should be listening to this episode, because if it's created a spark in you, that will create a spark in them as well. And that's all we need for them to take the action or do what they are thinking to do, because we don't know who is going to bed or waking up thinking of a better day. And this episode might just create that spark in them as well, give them that better day hope. So please do that. And thank you very much, Renee, for your time today. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much too. Can you please just say Tuesday Talks one more time?
Tuesday. Tuesday Talks.
Yes. It was great being with you. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much. And I think this is the Tuesday Talks that I've laughed the most as well.
Good.
Thank you very much.
My goal has been accomplished. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.